So these are some of my favorite first ADs and directors, because you guys are all female directors, which is pretty freaking awesome, right? And I've known you for a really long time. Rhiannon, I think I know you the longest. We met when you were a PA and I was an assistant. This is Rhiannon here. I'm like doing this as if you're sitting next to me. Again, super awkward. You're welcome.
Soup switcher from gracefully fed. Soup switcher, say bye bye to bread. If gluten's been a bitch, then ditch her with soup switcher.
Rhiannon O'Hara, Michele Azenzar, and Nikki Laurie. So I kind of wanted to let everybody know like what a first AD does. Like in my mind, they do everything. So I kind of wanted somebody to start us off and just like explain what a first AD does. Anyone?
I say Michele. You've been the
second that.
AD the longest.
Well, the way that this is the way I always explain it. I'm like, I'm the person that says quiet on the set and rolls cameras. And then people are like, oh, that's the job you do. And like, they think that that's that is the full encompassing thing of it. But it's so much more. I mean, we basically are the heart of the stage. We schedule everything. We basically have to get everything ready for the director, that when the director shows up, all the elements of the script are ready to go to either be rehearsed or shot. And depending on the day of the week, there's a different schedule. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to go through every single day or if you just want to, because we can get really technical here. But
well, I feel like if somebody was watching and they're not familiar with TV, you know, you go from like a table read to rehearsal and then to camera blocking and shooting. But that's like a full week of work, right, which people don't realize is actually a lot of work.
Yes, it's a lot of work. And so it's like the first day of the week, we'll just act as if a show shoots Monday through Friday. So on Monday, we as first ADs run a production meeting, and we basically break the script down and we go through the script in page order. And we go through all the elements of the script, and every department is there. Every department, we hope. You know, sometimes they're not. But every department's there, and we just basically talk about all the elements of the script and like what needs to be done for, if there's special effects, if there's, you know, sets that need to be changed over, if there's a costume gag, if there is a fall, we discuss that and we make sure that everybody is basically on the same page. And even though there might be rewrites, we just it's the only time that we're ever like in the same room or the same Zoom room together where we can actually talk about the script as one group. Because once you leave that production meeting, everybody starts having their own sidebar conversations. And that's sometimes where, would you guys say, that's kind of where sometimes communication could break down?
Yeah.
You know, because
I would say even as you go on throughout the week, throughout the rehearsal process, so much more is learned and discovered. And so kind of constantly taking notes, even if it's not a literal sidebar conversation, but taking notes about, you know, nuance during performance so that you make a mental note of like, maybe we need more time to shoot this scene because it's a little bit more of a dramatic scene, or, you know, or a wardrobe change that we didn't anticipate because of a decision that was made during the rehearsal process, as opposed to just breaking down the script at the beginning.
Absolutely.
You guys are basically like the liaison between every department.
Yes.
You know? So like even in my world, like where I'm the switcher and I could hear what's going on with the ADs all the time, which I have to tell you is one of my favorite things. It's fully entertaining. But like because I'm just like one little part of it, you think, oh, well, the ADs know exactly what I'm doing all the time, this and that, but you're doing that for every single department. And I don't think people realize like how lucrative that is, and how many people come to you like while you're on your break to have problems and like, you know, whatever, because they all report attention to you.
I think the question we get asked the most is, where's the trash can? I think that's, I think,
I think what's
mean-
for lunch?
I would say, or literally just, I have a question is just the phrase I hear most often. And it's usually about the schedule that's posted everywhere in everyone's email, but it's always, I have a question about the schedule.
I've 100% been that person because I always want to know what time the audience show is starting, and it's generally starting the same time every week. Every week, and I want to know like when I have to run my playback. Again, same time every week, but I can guarantee I've asked every single one of you at some point, hey, when's playback? Like, sorry.
But I actually like that, because the one time that you don't ask that, that probably will be the time that it starts a half hour late, and you might not know. It's like,
Yeah.
it's always good to check.
Yes.
And things are always changing. I think that's the great and bad thing about our job. I mean, the thing that I love about it is that there's never a dull moment, but the crappy thing is too, there's never a dull moment. It's just, at the whim of anybody's decision, whether it be the writer's decision, an actor's decision, a set dresser's decision, a costumer's decision, it could affect our schedule. A customer might say, just letting you know, between scenes, D and E, there's going to be a wardrobe change. That could catapult like an entire array of changes. If it's a costume, for instance, if it's like an ornate costume, you don't want to maybe put somebody in an ornate costume, for one scene and then have to change them back. So it might domino into a total schedule change.
It's like a puzzle. I feel like you're always figuring out like a puzzle.
And it's also, it's making a master puzzle, and then knowing that at any given moment you have to punt and totally improvise, especially during a live audience show, and have a plan B, C, and so on for if something changes. And it's like, we were planning on shooting this scene, something happened, an actor's late, etc. And so it's like, okay, now I have to look at that schedule that I spent a long time doing and be like, how can I save the day so that I don't have an entire crew sitting down doing nothing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the only example like I could say is like would throw you guys for. I remember doing a pilot many years ago, and one of the actresses, we shot like an entire show, and then the next day she came in and she had gotten a spray tan, and we had to like literally reconfigure like the whole thing. And I was like, this is a first AD's nightmare, because she's like, what? Like what? And it's like, you didn't put two and two together that we have to match you looking the same the entire it was
Yeah, I think we all have some version of that story.
Right? Haircuts. I love when people get haircuts, like, and then you have to reshoot a scene from, an episode beforehand, and their hair doesn't match,
And that always happens if you work on a show that goes many seasons, where it's like, oh, and then the one time an actor decides to get a haircut, then we're continuing on exactly where we left off.
Right.
Shooting something 3 months later.
You're like, those bangs look great.
No one's going to notice. Continuity?
No, it's terrible. Wait, so I have a question, because I know, I mean, I essentially started with Nikki and Rhiannon. You guys were PAs and worked your way up to your positions. But Michele, I actually don't know how you started in the business.
I was a PA. I worked my first job was on a show called,
All right.
I
don't know how to do this. Hold on.
I think you need to rename your podcast. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, no, it's like that's basically
Go with it.
I'm going to actually insert a little like jingle, and that will be it. Sorry, Michele. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. My first job was on the Golden Girls. I'm totally aging myself. And I was the assistant to the two executive producers. And their plan really was for me to stay in the office and become the script coordinator. And then they saw me going in doing, becoming like the script supervisor. I didn't even know what those things were, but I always wanted to be on stage. And I was always stuck in the office, and I answered the phones all day, and anytime I can get to the stage, anytime I was able to get to the stage, I was always so excited. And the way that I wound up getting into the job that the job that we do, is that there was a producer who's starting off a little television show called The Larry Sanders Show. And he took me on there, and at that time it was non-union. And so he knew that I wanted to be on stage. And so I started off there as a stage PA. And I wound up getting into the Directors Guild. Like that's a whole nother, that would be a boring podcast, but I wound up getting into the Directors Guild. But that was my first job, was assistant to executive producers. And I just knew that I didn't want to be in the office. I wanted to be on the stage.
I mean, it's so funny because I think we're all very creative. Like I've had conversations with you, Michele, about creating something. Me and Nikki Nikki and Rhiannon have all worked on side projects together, and like, you know, whether it was directing or writing or like whatever, like everybody here is super creative. And it's like, how do you know? I remember somebody asking me, I was like in an interview, they're like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do it all. And they were like, no, you have to really pick one. I'm like, really? Like, I never felt that way. Like, as much as I always wanted to direct, like, did you ever feel like, okay, like, I'm assuming you all felt like, wait, which path do I want to go? Or did you always know that ultimately you guys were going to direct?
For me, I didn't want to direct for many. It's not that I didn't want to direct. I just didn't think about it. I loved being an AD. And I didn't think about directing until I actually got, I think it was, and this is not to sound snotty, but it was like I started working, once I became comfortable as a first AD, I started seeing that there were some directors out there that really shouldn't have been directing. And I was like,
Case now though.
I'm like, I could do this. I'm like, why aren't I doing this? And it was interesting. I just took a director's meeting last week. I was on a director's meeting. And the thing that I was saying is that I really want to be creative again. You know, being a first AD, there's creativity in doing the schedule and being a problem solver, but the actual art of making a television show and being like the creative person, whether it be like the entertainer or the director, like helping the entertainer, like bring, the words from the page onto, to the stage, as they say.
Yeah.
It's such a ridiculous comment, but now I'm awkward. So it's like I miss the creativity and being in it, and like really getting to dissect the story and the characters. And as a first AD, I find that, we're just so in the logistics of making the show happen that sometimes the creativity gets, at least for me, I don't feel that I'm in that realm of the process.
You're always like approximate to it, which is a very, very good position to be in. Like I found just being on stage in general, whether as a stage PA or any AD, is just always been like, yeah, you're not really at the center of the creative process. Like one time, I think we all know Anthony Rich, he once described it as like, several different circles. And like, if you're in the centermost circle, you're the creatives, you're the producers and the directors and the writers and the actors. And then being the first AD, you're just in the next circle from that, which means like, you're not really actually contributing to that process, which can be frustrating, but at the same time, like you're seeing it, you have a front row seat for almost every single decision that's being made. So even though it's not as rewarding, and sometimes it's very, very difficult, you're just constantly absorbing without having like the next step of stakes and pressure on your back. So it's if there's going to be a place to be, aside from being a creative, I think being a AD in general, but a first AD specifically, is just like the most lucrative position you could possibly have.
Me personally, I'm like the triangle. I'm not part of any circle when I'm sitting up in the booth. But when I worked for a director, you have this luxury of shadowing somebody that's doing it. So you're on set all the time. and you're watching, you're in meetings that you never would be privy to otherwise. You're listening to creative notes, and you're like, you're being part of I always, wanted to move on from being an assistant, but like that kind of experience being on stage for all the processes, which I'm not privy to anymore as a switcher, it's invaluable, because you're exactly what you said, you're kind of next to it. You know what I mean?
And no matter what your ultimate goal is, whether you know exactly what that is right out the gate, like I want to be, fill in the blank, or you're like, I don't know, I want to do it all. The good news is like you kind of, there's no experience that's not constructive and worthwhile that doesn't inform another position on stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's never time wasted in my mind, even if you're like, you know what, I thought I wanted to be a director, but now I know I actually want to write or I want to perform. It's like they all kind of inform each other. So it's just a good place to be in, even if your mind's in the logistics and the scheduling, that you're always absorbing, every other part of the stage.
Well, I kind of wanted to get to the food part of this. Oh, thanks, guys. Oh my God, it's so exciting. Well, I was going to start with the fact that I don't know about you, but we're always on hiatus in like the summer. So like coming back to, well, not really anymore. It's all a little weird, but like coming back to set, I always like go in thin and then I like gain a lot of weight. It's like the freshman 15, like, like when you're going back to set. So like, I always like to talk to everybody like on who I'm talking to, like on set, like how is there a way for us to be on set and be healthy? Not necessarily like lose weight and maintain our weight, but be healthy, because we're there for 12 hours, 14 hours, some shows. And for me, the majority of the time you're snacking because it's so easy to do, or you don't have enough healthy choices. And as you all know, because you were all really immersed in it, I was sick for a few years and I couldn't eat anything on set. So I had to like bring my refrigerator with me every day to work. So my first question, I guess, is, do you feel this is also a little bit weird because you've all been on hit shows where the craft service may be a little bit better than other shows where they don't have the budget for it. And you might actually have those healthier options.
You have an actor who's vegan, so there's always, those healthy options. Yeah.
Like if you don't have that luxury, like what do?
You do what you did, is bring your own food. I mean, that's literally the only way. And especially in a position where like you don't have the luxury of always going back whenever you feel like you want to eat, because I think so much of it comes down to routine. Like the healthiest way to eat is to plan your meals for similar times of the day, similar calorie intake or whatever you want on those specific times of the day. But when you're on set, it's kind of like, okay, this is the time I have to take a 5, and then you go back and whatever's there, you don't really get the luxury of, picking and choosing what's healthy. You just have to get calories and sustenance in. So really the only way to control that is by bringing in the food yourself, which is also hard to do when you're exhausted working 12 plus hours a day, and then you have to go prep for the meals for the next day. Like I've definitely attempted that and it never lasts more than a couple weeks.
Also, if you're like working, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, especially as the first AD, you can't really leave. Like you don't, get the luxury to go back and look and heat stuff up and figure out. It's like you grab and go, you don't get the luxury to like.
I mean, you do decide when the 5s are, so you can definitely. I mean, I would never cater that towards my appetite, of course.
None of you have ever done this, but sometimes you forget to let upstairs know that there's a 5. That's all.
I've never done that. I'd also argue sometimes upstairs doesn't listen.
Hi, is everybody out for break right now? Who's up here? Great.
You know how it's really quiet? It's because there's nobody around.
Yeah, if you look and see that the sound mixer isn't there, that's your cue.
No, I mean, like a lot. So my thing is, obviously I brought my refrigerator. So the stuff that I gave you is all organic, gluten-free, dairy-free. And a lot of times when we hear that, especially like on set, it just feels like unappealing. And like, I'm the first person to admit that like, that's just not how I like to eat, because I was so used to like cooking with real like ingredients, which ironically, these are real ingredients that I'm cooking with. So I always like to make everybody try it to see if it's something that they would, eat down the road, that kind of stuff. I know Rhiannon's tried a lot of my food. So
I have.
she's already been there. She's actually cooked a lot of my food too. So she has some knife skills, guys. She's got some knife skills. So what did I give everybody? I forget.
I think you gave me, it's a zucchini soup.
Oh yeah, because I did. There's no onions.
I know, which
I have the detox and the turkey chili.
I did turkey chili because it's newer and I feel like you would like it.
It's good.
But I don't know.
I already
I did
ate,
turkey chili
already
too, but I
ate
figured I'd save
chili.
that.
my chili didn't last long. I have right now the turmeric cauliflower, and it's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Oh, good. Did you guys? Did I give you cookies too?
Oh yeah, I
Those,
got one right here.
I ate those too.
I do have to say that this would be nice because for me, because Kelly, my wife, works in production, obviously, and so when we get home from a long day working, it's what to eat and try to figure out, and it's usually we'll order out or because a lot of times, again, at work we miss the meal. Sometimes the food that's put out in the evening, and then when you get to it, it's bad. So when we go home, and for this next season that's coming up, I'm really trying to plan like to freeze some meals. That way then we can come home and have it, not have to order takeout, and just have all that processed food and just.
But isn't it now individually packed on set, like for everyone? Like you can't really, right? Like you can't eat.
But it's sometimes it just depends. Like sometimes it's weird, like sometimes we'll get fast food brought in. It just depends. Or it's just some odd little, things that it's like, I just want a meal. I don't want a snack, for dinner.
It's not about weight loss. It's about like, how do we keep healthy? Because I know working those hours and most of us, but you guys as ADs have one show. We have two shows and you're having all these odd hours and you're not healthy. Like you're not eating correctly. You're not eating like healthy. And then you just feel like shit. So even on our day off, you're just like sluggish. And so I kind of was like, it's almost like, how schools try to get their kids to eat healthier. I'm like, how do we do that for set? Because it's not like a good thing.
It is a bigger conversation that's worth having, I think, as we move forward, that, if you want a more productive, efficient crew, like it doesn't hurt to think about what you're feeding them. And I know cost is obviously an issue, but, I worked on a first season show that always had a vegan option. So I'm like, there's got to be a way to do it where it's not, you're not compromising any other part of the budget to make sure that at least people have the option to eat something healthier, because honestly, they're going to perform better if they're not sluggish and tired or hungry, because sometimes I have gone back and been like, I literally, I can't eat this. It will make me feel worse.
I've always brought my own food for the most part. I that's like one thing. I don't ask for much, like in the beginning of the season, but I do always ask that I have my own refrigerator. So I could just put whatever food I have, and that way, it's really as we've all said, it's timing it out. So, knowing what we know the schedule, knowing what the schedule is in order to like just give yourself a little bit of sustenance, knowing that you have the next 4 hours you're going to be in a set that you probably, as a first AD, you can't leave.
Yeah.
And now, especially with COVID, not being able to eat on stage, it was a whole another layer of a lot of self-care.
Yeah.
A lot of starving yourself.
Yeah. And dehydrated.
Very dehydrated.
Yeah. Very.
Back to TV, I'm just going to ask you, I feel like I know these answers, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So far in your career, what is your favorite show that you've worked on?
For me, I would say my two favorite shows, I would say two. Larry Sanders Show, because it was the first time that like I really got to do what I do. And I learned a lot. Like I still use a lot of lessons and a lot of tactics that I learned on that show in my in my present day, and also Mike and Molly, I think was for sure my favorite show.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously, like, as you know, Tracy, like Big Bang is hard to not list because I grew up on that show quite literally. And even though it was a very interesting experience over 12 years, but obviously I had, many, many mentors came from that show. Many people influenced my life, and I learned so much about the job, but also just the industry in general through that show. But I will say that so far the best experience I've had is on, shameless plug for the second season of United States of Al. Just because I feel like it has all those elements, like it has a great crew and a wonderful energy. And not to downplay the content of any other show, but it feels like telling a story that's really important, which I think everyone kind of feels a little bit of that energy, and it really brings everything up to a different level.
I want to ask Rhiannon, but I also, if you just want to tell people what that's about, because isn't that Chase's story, right? Like it's kind of,
yes, it's a couple people's story, quite literally, but it was very much born from Chase Millsap, who's an old friend that was serving. The show is based in Afghanistan, and it's based off of his own experience with his interpreter that he was very close with, saved his life multiple times. And then the whole time I've known him for at least 10 plus years now, has been trying to get that friend interpreter into the US through SIV, special immigrant visas, because he and his family are constantly under attack by different terrorist groups for helping American soldiers. So it's a very, perfect sort of a setup for a comedy, really. But that's what makes the show really quite wonderful. Is I remember when, I've known this story for so long with Chase, and when I saw that the pilot was happening for a multi-camera sitcom, I'm like, really? That's an interesting route. But after watching it, I'm like, no, this is the perfect way. People are so used to, this endless war that we've all been living in for so long, not literally living in, but lived during. We're so used to having it served to us in a very dark, sinister way. And so being able to watch the reality of the people that actually are in it with lightheartedness, with the love and happiness, is not only an easier pill for, I think, most of America to swallow, but it makes it better. It makes it easier for them to really feel what the consequences are. Yeah.
And Rhiannon, can you beat that?
Not really. I would say, gosh, it's been, I don't know. I would say definitely Mike and Molly would be at the top, because of just the family that we made and created, and the friends and lifelong, that we had. And then I honestly, I love my current show. I love working on it, and it's obviously it's kind of, it's,
you're keeping it a secret, like we're not allowed to know what the show is.
Oh, sorry, Bob Hart Sabashola. Sorry, but it's kind of, it's like, Nikki's show, but ours is also now, talking about a Nigerian family and stuff. So we're kind of shedding light to another culture, and it's just really cool to see our actors who are Nigerian, how excited they are, and just the fans that reach out to them about, that they're being represented on TV and stuff. It's pretty cool.
You guys also, not for nothing, have on that show kind of like the crew from Mike and Molly and the crew from Big Bang kind of melded together there, and that's
we have definitely an elite group of people.
Yeah,
I love
lots of dance parties there.
I love watching Bob Hart's Abishola, because I also love seeing Billy playing a different character.
Totally.
And it's just, just as somebody that loves him as a person, I mean, he's very near and dear to my heart. I love just seeing him be able to explore a different character and the different, relationships that, that he has on this show as compared to Mike and Molly.
I love Mike and Molly. I love coming in. I came into both shows, both of all of your shows. I came into Mike and Molly late, and I came into Big Bang late, and everybody welcomes you with open arms. And that's kind of like why I like talking to everybody that I get to work with, because you see everybody who directs and you see everybody who acts, but like there's so many people that do these shows that don't get the attention that they deserve. You know what I mean? Because like what you guys do is so important on set. And there's a lot of jobs like that. And like, I don't think that people get to hear those stories enough, you know?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
everybody really wants to know what you're eating too. I mean, that's basically.
Lots of breakfast burritos.
Detox is my favorite. So,
Thank you, Rhiannon.
yes, I love the lemongrass.
Hopefully you can be growing it in your backyard and I don't have to buy it and just buy it from you.
No. Oh,
Cookies are legit too, by the way.
Thank you. Those are our vegan cookies.
So good.
Very good.
very good.
Rhiannon has a fig tree in her backyard, and last year
Her name is Oprah.
Oprah grew a lot of figs, and she came in and I made fig Newtons, and I was like so proud of myself. And I was like, can you bring a few more of those in? Because like you have so many.
Wait, so many.
It's so weird because you came by the shop the other day, you didn't bring any.
I know she has little green ones. She's producing, but they're not at the
I
picking
have
point.
a fig tree and it doesn't produce very good figs. So
No.
I'm very jealous of Oprah.
Ours, like honestly, it's the best fig I've ever had. Like she just produces.
Is
I
it
mean,
a green fig or a purple fig?
well, they're green and then they turn purple.
Okay, because there are some green though that stay green, I think.
Oh no,
This
yeah,
podcast
these
is really
these get like basically like saggy purple testicles.
Oh, yum.
Yeah. This
They're delicious. Sweet.
this is the sound clip that I'll use to promo. It just gets some like testicle-y figs. Those are the ones that are good.
Like right there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was happy. Make fig jam, make fig Newton.
Yeah.
It was a good experiment.
Although because of this plant I'm battling in the back, I feel like she's getting suffocated because her leaves were wilting.
We're still talking about a tree.
Uh-huh.
Oprah.
I'm not like a plant person. Like I kill a lot of plants, but I see now like you have to give them like a, water. Yes.
I have,
Yeah,
a
I was
sycamore
gonna
in my I have a sycamore in my backyard and his name is Cy. He's Cy the sycamore.
Sai's a pretty sycamore too.
Yeah, he's a really pretty sycamore.
You
Yeah.
gotta get on. Nikki, you have plants, right?
I have like succulents that I'm like barely keeping alive.
Good. Then we're the same person.
Yeah,
I don't feel bad.
it's not good. We have some
I
fight
mean,
back
it's
there.
literally you just give it water and give it some sun.
So high maintenance, jeez.
And also it's like kind of rude that like you think that like we don't give it water, like we do.
I mean, I totally give it water.
So wait, so are you doing United States of Al? Are you directing all of those?
No, not all of them. I'm doing 9 of those. So Mark Sandrowski will start off the season. And then through it's like late November through February, I'll be doing a block of 9.
Oh, I don't know why I'm getting really emotional. I'm really happy for you.
Oh,
It's so exciting. I love it.
It's crazy. It's very crazy.
I'm so happy for you. Wait, are you?
You're gonna make me cry.
Are
Great.
you even
A podcast where everybody cries.
Are you
Rhiannon?
anymore?
what?
So Rhiannon, are you firsting?
Yeah, I'm the first now. Nikki's stepping away.
taking the big dive.
Ooh, this is, oh my God, I'm so happy.
Oh, I love it.
Nikki.
I can't say, I did get an episode of Call Me Kat, I just found out.
Yes, this is
Hell
so
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Oh my God, guys.
Awesome.
That's huge.
yeah, I'm really excited.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
This is like that good news, guys. Good news podcast here.
Michele,
Bearing the lead with the
So
good news.
awesome.
Jeez.
Thank you.
I love this. That's the best news.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
I want to just come in and shadow, but really just like talk to everybody.
Well, we're all on Warner Brothers, so
Look, all you have to do is get like a job so that you can get like the baseline tests done so that you can get on the lot and then you're good to go.
And
Done
then
and done. I
text us, we'll let you in.
Yeah.
got face shields galore.
yes, you do.
All right. Okay. It's the truth. Oh, guys, I'm so excited for everyone. This is such news. This is awesome. Oh my God, you're all doing so many great things, and you're eating my soup. I mean, well, that's a success in itself.
I feel happy and healthy.
Okay, off topic also, like, Rhiannon, do you think, I'm not even kidding, like, should you come to my house and like do some home projects here as well? Like, does anybody else have that craving that you want her and Kelly to come and like fix up your house?
I mean,
Like,
obviously, when I look at they post videos of themselves doing house projects, I'm like the laziest person in the world. I'm like,
I feel very unaccomplished over the time that I'm off work. I'm like, Ryan, why are we not doing the stuff that Kelly and
I
Ryan
think also
doing?
we're excited because, you know, new homeowners and wanting to,
yeah, no, sure.
And
No, I agree. I sit on my couch after work and I watch a lot of TV.
Oh, after work, I'm not doing this.
TV. Yeah.
I mean, I've been on hiatus for a while, and there was a pandemic, so.
But I've also found, and I think everyone has a different sort of way to unwind, and it's very important that you are true to that. And for some people, busy work, whether it's in the house or cooking, is very therapeutic. Great way to. It's like a great way to recharge. But for a lot of people, I think I felt guilty the longest time enjoying doing nothing, because it's really just my favorite thing. Is like I could spend a whole day doing like nothing of any sort of worth. And for the longest time, I beat myself up about that. But I'm like, you know what? We work really hard when we do work.
Yes.
So when that downtime is available and I have a day or two to just F off and play dumb games on my phone or do crossword puzzles or watch garbage television, it's like, that's also a version of recharging. And I think
I just had this conversation too, and I think that we're all very much like this, like especially with the jobs that you have, like you're type A, like, you know, like we're all type A personalities. So I have that guilt too. Like if I'm sitting and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't done anything for 3 hours, which is like, you can relax. People can relax for 3 hours. I get really like, I feel an immense sense of guilt, and I'm starting to get better at it, but it's real. Like
it's definitely a process. I've gotten to the point where I'm totally fine with not doing anything. But I think Kelly, who's working next door in our guest bedroom, when she comes out and I'm just sitting on the couch playing, you know, Candy Crush or something on my phone, she's like, "You gonna do something today, babe?" And I'm like, I took the trash cans in. That's like what I did today. I'm gonna start work in 2 weeks, so I'll be out of here.
Enjoy it while you can.
You go back
The 26th
of this month.
Mm-hmm. They're
of July.
They're bringing me back a week earlier because our first table reads August 11th. Okay. But they're bringing me in because we have 2 huge episodes that take place in Nigeria, and so we're taking like a whole parking lot and building a market and just Nigeria, basically.
So sorry I left you to that, Rhiannon.
I know.
So sorry.
I'm so excited for both of you guys.
Yeah. I think also what's really cool is that you both, or all 3 of you worked your way to where you were. You know, you are like, you did the work, you know. I hate saying this because like it's an individual thing, but like I think when we were like kind of coming up in the business, it's like you worked hard to earn your place. Whereas like sometimes now I feel it because I work in a different industry, that it's almost like people feel entitled and they want to be where they're supposed to be, and they think they deserve it without doing the hard work.
Yep.
Where you put in the time, you put in the hours, you started as PAs, like it's not the most glamorous job, and it's not like you did it for a year and then the next year you were, you know, the first, second, like whatever. And I think,
look, some people's timelines are different than others, and I've spent a lot of time either, you know, self-conscious about how quick or slow it took me to do certain things, or comparing myself to other people's successes, as though that informs myself. And to invoke the name Anthony Rich one more time, one of the like best things he ever said to me is like, it's your career is it's not a game of tennis, it's a game of golf. And sometimes people are going to get better weather, better circumstances, better opportunities, and it could feel very crushing. But at the end of the day, it's like all you can do is do the job you have the best you can so that you're prepared for whatever opportunity comes your way. The soup is delicious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
It all.
Guys, I'm so glad that you sent this and thank you for like letting me eat pretty much all my food before we even did this.
Anytime you guys want food. But I love you all and I miss you. And I'll see you guys soon.
We're gonna see you.
She was a video switcher in TV at the time. Then whoops, suddenly that girl's got Lyme. Her health is back on track 'cause she switched up her diet. And now she's forcing